So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to my channel. Welcome back if you've been here before. I am filled with phlegm. So, I'm getting over a cold. Hopefully I won't cough through this video, but if I'm sounding a little bit congested or creaky, crusty, whatever, um, sniffly, apologies for that. I am actually feeling so much better than I was, and it's beautiful that I'm feeling better on this day of Thanksgiving in the US, November 23rd, 2023. 23, um, because, this is a day to really be feeling into the deep well of well-being, uh, to feel my connectedness to my world, to feel the ways in which my life is sustained by the world around me, to be so um, gratitude is one of those words that I'm always a little bit allergic to because it can become part of a whole culture of sort of toxic positivity, like just turn your frown upside down, adopt an attitude of gratitude. There's a lot of ways in which we can should all over ourselves and tell ourselves that we should be thankful. And yet, that may sound kind of perverse because, what else is there other than a spirit of gratitude, of recognizing the grace, the gift, the gift that is life, moment by moment. So, these thoughts come to me not just because it's Thanksgiving, but because I've been working with the Suit of Cups in the Drop 'em 78 challenge. And, the Suit of Cups, more than any of the five suits of tarot, is a suit that invites us to lean in with a heart of cheer and openness, to lean into the waters of life that flow through us, flow all around us, that carry us, that buoy us up. This is the suit that is often thought of as the suit of emotion and emotionality, but to me, that idea of it being the suit of emotions plays into a dichotomy between emotions and reason. But I do think, this is very much this is very much the suit of hearts. I mean, historically, the cups in tarot evolve into the French suit of hearts. So whatever it is that we think that the heart is, in Jungian, or at least James Hillmanian terms, I would want to call this the suit of the soul, of the psyche, which means that it's also the suit, and this I think has been really hitting home to me this year with my Drop 'em 78 challenge. It's also really deeply the suit of the psyche, of all of the waters that stir underneath the surface, both in my individual unconscious and then in this unconsciousness that is the human heart mind that connects all of us together in the world of archetype and image and dream and myth, religion, spirit. In the Mausei tradition, the Ace of Cups is not just a depiction of a chalice, not even just a depiction of the Holy Grail, the cup from the Last Supper, and thus an image of communion. It's actually depicted like the holy city of Jerusalem itself, with, turrets and a sense of a gate, a kind of reminder from the standpoint of Christian mythology that this human journey we're on culminates in our return to our true home, to the true Jerusalem, to the heart of God, right? We don't have to be Christian or even theists in order to appreciate the ways in which the cupsiness of this suit is about the container for our heart, and finding a world that actually gives us support for the waters of the psyche, of the soul. This suit of cups is, more than anything else, the suit that makes working with tarot possible. Like that heartful, psychical, soulful side of us that resonates with image and dream and myth. Now, in the Ostara Tarot, which is the tarot deck that I've been working with, I was struck from the start. This is Eden Cook's Imagery. The Ostara Tarot was produced as a joint venture between these four artists in Vancouver, BC, and each of them took one of the minor arcana suits. So Eden Cook took the suit of cups, and her imagery from the start, it's like all of this masquerade, and the color palette with these sort of gray blues and these kind of mahogany reds, and then this chartreuse-y, kind of nauseating, queasy green. As I started, this is the Three of Cups. This is unlike any Three of Cups I've ever seen. In the Ostara Tarot, each of the minor arcana cards has a animal associated with it across all four suits. So all the threes in all the minor arcana suits have frogs, for instance. So, you know, we've got lily pads here. But what is this, these greens and this red? I found myself with the masquerade imagery thinking about Toulouse-Lautrec and the imagery from, you know, his 19th century posters and paintings of the demi-monde of like Moulin Rouge, of a world of bohemian artists, you know, sort of a very queer world of, you know, absinthe, like the green of absinthe, which is also another way to understand this color green, of drug use, of prostitutes and sex, you know, sex workers, sex, dance, costume, masquerade, the world under the world, right? The half world, the twilight world, the world of dreams, the world where what we think of as reality is slightly askew. And this seems to me in many ways the world that gets invoked both in the color palette and in the imagery of this very heterogeneous suit. Today we are on the Knight of Cups. I'll say a little bit more about that. And it reminded me through the connection of water and through a card like the Page of Cups, which in this deck, all of the pages are associated with foxes, but this shadow play image where the young page is creating a shadow of a fox to the rapt attention of the foxes. One of the subscribers and members of my Mindful Tarot community, Will, was saying, you know, it's interesting that the shadow fox sort of teaches the real foxes a thing or two. And isn't that of the nature of dream? That our dreams, our images, our poetry, our music, our art, all that stuff that comes up from the waters of the soul, from the unconscious, from the psyche, all of that we project into the world, isn't it true? The ways that teaches the real world what it had forgotten, what it didn't quite know, what it knew but didn't know. The shadow fox teaches the real foxes a thing or two. But, you know, all of this and the watery nature of the cups reminds me, of course, of the moon. The moon with its card that evokes both shadow and light, a sun that's also a moon, that evokes the sense of the unconscious, of the waters of the unconscious, and what, you know, crustacean, what primitive being, what parts of us that are not fully cooked, fully baked, what parts of us that are sort of abject and rejected lie below the surface, that crustacean, that lobster that is crawling from the depths. And then this pun or saying that's embedded in the imagery, the French phrase, thinking about twilight as a time that is entre chien and loup, between dog and wolf, where we can't in the shadows tell the difference between dog and wolf, between that known friend and that unknown foe, between what is known, what is unknown. Where things that are very similar, shadowy mirror images of each other, mix and merge. That liminal space, which is the space that, you know, tarot takes us into, the space of divination and discovery. So I've been thinking about the cups in this context, and I've been playing with playing cards, my calibration deck this year, the deck that I'm using kind of as a way to help me discover more about each card. So each day I pull a different card from my calibration deck to kind of help pivot me into a sort of new understanding of the card of the day. So that deck is the standard playing card tarot, which is a hybrid deck of playing cards, but then also we've got tarot cards. So this is the Ace of Hearts, which you see is also has the cup imagery in it. The thing about playing cards that I'm fascinated by, is the way that playing cards across all four suits, hearts, spades, clubs, and diamonds, the arrangement of the pips doesn't change. It's standard, and the size of the pips doesn't change. We have this kind of impulse to fill out the corners and then move into the middle. A 4 of hearts looks like a 4 of diamonds, looks like a 4 of clubs, looks like a 4 of spades. But in fact, all three of the suits have elements that have an upside and a downside. The diamonds, of course, doesn't. The diamonds is completely reversible, right? But playing cards, what I'm really been drawn to is the way in which modern playing cards play into reversibility, like encourage us to have no ups or downs. And yet, of course, the elements will show us that there is an up and a down, not in the 4s, but in the 5s, right? There's a difference between these two. What I'm struck is that was a historical innovation, that reversibility, and I think that's kind of interesting. So the hearts, I've been also looking at the Portrait de Paris, the playing card deck that came out recently from Artisan Tarot and is based on a 1735 deck, French deck. I haven't really explored this deck. I don't, for instance, know who the inscriptions are exactly in the face cards. Like, this is Judith, I'm assuming from the Bible, I guess, and Charles, but I don't know. I have to do some research. But what I'm struck by is that in this historic French deck, it is not reversible. And that got me thinking about reversibility and our insistence on a world that speaks in one voice, like it doesn't really matter. You can be upside, downside, right side, left side, and it's the same. It's like, no, the world is not reversible. The world does not speak with one voice. It matters how you look at things. There's many voices. That plurality of voices seems to me super much directly at the heart of whatever the suit of cups as the suit of intuition is. The intuition that I have, my intuition, my heart, my psyche, it's not one thing. It's not even mine. It's many things. It's connected to all things. That's why this is the suit of water. Water is not a single thing. It flows. It connects. It overflows. That's why it's so hard to hold on to it. That's why we need a good cup, right? And cups can always spill, as the 5 of Cups famously teaches us, in the Waite-Smith imagery at least. Water is not one thing. Water is all things, many things, flowing things. Somehow this is what I've been thinking about as I look at playing cards and the history that shows us, oh, there's an upside, there's a downside, there's many things. It's not one thing. We can't just reverse it and end up in the same uniform place. Yeah, the world is not reversible. The world is watery. Okay, I don't know if any of that made sense. My head is kind of watery right now. But in any event, I say this after every video. Thank you for your practice. Today, on this day of gratitude, I'm especially aware of what that means. Thank you for being there. Toodles.